Well, this is, I had to make some notes on this one. Sir David, King David, Conqueror David, Dr. David, Super David, Asshat David. Those are my titles, folks, and I'm sure there's a few more on the Mormon comment board that I haven't put on there yet. I don't know. I want to be fair, though. You know, if you've been watching my last 10 videos here, they certainly have been an eye-opener to me on the indiscretions and the inappropriateness of sexual behavior in the state of Utah. Now, I thought, well, you know, maybe I'm just getting an aberration here. Maybe I'm just have a special computer that when I hit sex in Utah, it catches on fire and up comes 1,000 things. I don't know. But it seems to me that I needed to go do some checking. Okay. Now, I did. And again, you look on the computer. I don't care if you don't believe me. I looked at it. I believe myself. Alright, here we go. You can't go to school in Utah. You can't go to school in Utah. 1% of all the teachers in Utah have to give their licenses up every year for sexual inappropriateness, illegal inappropriateness with children, male and female. We're a very unique state. You do not have to have just a penis to molest children. Vaginas do a good job. We have many, many women who haven't had sex in 800 years, and they find a 18 or 17, oh, not an 18, it's got to be a 15 or 17-year-old boy, and, you know, they ride him like a Disneyland ride. So anyway, number 8 in the nation for sexual abuse. Now, when they were asking the Utah people, well, why is your statistics so high? Do you think the Utah people are going to say, well, because we have a predominant church that hates penises and vaginas, and when you're married, you have to dress your wife in a tent, you can't see her naked body, and after she has 97 children, she kind of has a fat ass, and her boobs are hanging to the ground, so the men just go crazy. They don't want to walk around with erections, so they just find little girls and innocent women and just sexually molest them. Well, that's what the legislature said. But we didn't hear them. That was in closed session. The open public relations comment, oh God. You know, it's an old joke. You can always tell when Mormons are lying. It's when their lips move. Anyway, the official Mormon Utah comment is, well, we report abuse higher in this state, so our numbers have got to be up. Bullshit. Bullshit. That is a lie. The Mormon Church has covered up decades, if not, what's 25 years? I can't think. Score! No, score is 20 years. Decades or 3 scores? I don't know. The Utah Mormons have covered up with their scouting program and the LDS Church the most outrageous, largest number of sexual indiscretions, I think, than any other state. Now, they rank 8th. If you take a look at the Boy Scout records here the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm prophesying you're going to see the Mormon Church all over those Scout records. Now, let me give you a second statistic, which I hope I handle this right, because those of you that watch me, you know damn well, I don't care if you're fat, ugly, you know, skinny, male, female, Catholic, atheist, Buddhist, it doesn't matter. I openly just accept all people. Now, let me make this comment with that comment. Guess which city in the United States of America is number 1 for gay individuals? Salt Lake City. How the hell do you explain that? I'll tell you. I'll tell you how you explain it. When people get fanatical and they hate gays, and they're against the Proposition 8 in California, and it's a proclamation of the family. One man married to, in Utah, 20 or 30 women, but in most of the states it's one man, one woman. How in the world does every homosexual and lesbian want to come to Salt Lake City? I'm not even going to venture a guess. I'm just giving you the numbers. I'm just giving you the numbers, and you might say, if you're a Mormon, because we're really nice people, and we don't discriminate against anybody, and we donated the most amount for Proposition 8, which is now in front of the Supreme Court, and we're going to lose our ass on that one too, but we love everybody. Yeah, there's your Mormon spin, okay? The rest of us that have a little bit of experience and education might say there's a lot of gay people in the Mormon church. Closet, uncloseted, we don't know. But it appears that there's enough that it draws a fairly #1 large crowd in the entire United States. Mormons, explain that. Explain that. So they're #1 in gays and happiness of gays in a major city, and they're #8 in child molestation. And if they reported it properly, I'm pretty sure they'd be #1. I'm just pretty sure they'd be #1. And as we see more and more numbers come forward, I think you're going to see that I'm right. They're close to #1, because the Mormon Church will not allow them to have sexual expression except in the middle of the night under 17 sheets in the dark, and both of them dressed in clown suits. And they have to try to find each other under the covers. And my God, don't ever think of oral sex. Don't think of any sex. Just think of reproducing children. Boy, that's a turn on, ain't it? Yeah, that makes me want to jump in bed. That man and that woman is going to go out into the real world, and they're going to come across secretaries, they're going to come across football players, they're going to come across children in school, they're going to come across neighbors, and they're going to be sexually inappropriate, period. And it is the fault, I'm going to say this, it is the fault of the Mormon Church. Every discretion? Not every. The main reason for sexual indiscretion in Utah? The Mormon Church. The Mormon Church. The Mormon Church. If you never want to see your penis or your vagina again, man, join the Mormon Church. Join the Mormon Church. Let me bring this, if I can. I don't know where it is. Local news here in Salt Lake City. Oh, here's the #1 here. Sexual misconduct persistent in Utah schools. Now, this is published October 23rd, 2009. Okay? It starts with text messaging and little indiscretions, and then there's the sexual misconduct by teachers, from inappropriate touching and downloading pornography on school computers to full-blown molestation, is a persistent and pervasive problem. It is the #1 reason Utah educators are forced to surrender their licenses, and the tools for preventing it haven't evolved much over the years. This is the Salt Lake Tribune, September 30th. Well, it's September 30th, 2012, but it seems to be quoting. The first quote was 2000, or first printing was 2009. So that's the #1 reason that the teachers lose their licenses. Good Lord. There are nearly 20,000 licensed educators in Utah, most of them hardworking professionals. But since 1992, the State Board of Education has suspended or revoked 313 teacher licenses, 208 of them, 66%, for sexual misconduct. That doesn't include the 10 cases under consideration at this printing. You know, I always make notes before I go on. I'm always well prepared, you know. Okay, anyway, I'm going to take that one off. And let's see. Oh, there I am there. Geez, that's scary. Okay, here we are. The City Weekly is, well, I'm just going to tell you. It's the City Weekly, Wednesday, October 3rd, 5:30 p.m. I don't know what. Salt Lake City ranked #1 gay city. Here it is, right here, folks. So if you want to, you know, take a look at it. We've got a couple of gay magazines here in magazines, yeah, in Utah. So anyway, that's the end of the story. We're #1 in prescription drug overdoses. We're #1 in prescription drug medications given out. They're such a happy people. We're #1 in credit card payment for pornography, the state of Utah. We're #1 in the least amount of money paid to educate each child in the entire state of Utah. We're #1 in obesity. I don't know, I think we might be #4 or 5. I'm trying to remember back on that. But either 1 or 5 ain't good. So anyway, welcome to Utah. My doctor's in jail for sexual misconduct. The highway patrol guy is in jail for sexual misconduct. The school teachers aren't safe. Many of them are in jail for sexual contact every year. We have a state legislator, GOP, head of the ethics committee in the state of Utah, found naked with a naked 15-year-old in a hot tub. So don't let your kids go into any houses that have hot tubs, especially if the elders are present. The elders of the Mormon Church. You can't even go to school and be safe. Now last night I got curious, and God knows I have the time, and Jesus knows I have the time. I looked up the list of sex offenders in our area. It's one of the highest in the nation. I'm not going to quote it, frankly, because I can't remember, because I was looking for my own kids. And there's 1 or 2 guys that happen to be along the pathway that my kids walk, the sidewalk, every day. And I showed my kids and just said, you know, the guy comes out of this house running naked and said, I'm going to take you to primary, run like hell. When I drove Meals on Wheels, we delivered to a couple of different people, and one of the ladies that was riding with me that runs the Meals Up, I just did the driving, she said, well, this next house is a sex offender. I said, oh, really? How do you know? We know! We know! Well, dangerous guy. Oh, he's very dangerous. She goes to the door and opens the door, and here's this guy comes to the door. He must have been 78, 79 years old, using a walker, 2 canes, blind, no ears. I don't think he was that dangerous. Now, maybe in the years before, I don't know. But anyway, this state, you can't even send a kid to school and assume that it's going to be safe. We have bishops, we have state presidents, we have the tabernacle choir members, we have a satanic ritual abuse in the state of Utah. Look up Pace, P-A-C-E, Brother Pace. I can't think of his first name. But anyway, look up the Pace memo on the internet. It'll come right up that he was a general authority that reported satanic sexual abuse in the temples, in the chapels, and interviews with over 60 people who are satanic ritual survivors in the LDS community. So there's 2 faces. 2 faces of the Mormon Church. There's the happy, smiley, pat you on the back. We love you, we love you. We haven't seen you for 3 years here in church. And then there's the real one, when they close the door, and they get behind closed doors and closed, supposedly safe areas that nobody knows who they are. It's not secret, it's sacred. Right, my ass. It ain't sacred. There's a lot of shenanigans that go on, but you know what? It's changing. Let me tell you, people from all over the world, especially if you're non-members, come to Utah. Be like me. It's a beautiful state. We have trees and forests and lakes and water skiing and dancing bears and foxes that'll chase you and bite the hell out of you. We have a lot of nice things in Utah. The only negative thing is the Mormon Church. Now, a lot of the Mormons are not bad people. They're poisoned, but the poison hasn't taken total effect yet. But the liquor laws are changing, and the speed limits are changing. I don't know what that has to do with the Mormon Church. Maybe that has to do with us apostates getting out of town, getting out of Dodge fast. It's going up to 80 miles an hour in some spots, especially going to Vegas. When the Mormons go to Vegas, God, they want to go like hell because they got to get back next week for sacrament meeting and a bishop's council meeting and a personal priesthood interview, and the Relief Society president's talking next week, and she's giving the letter. They go like hell across. It's 80 miles an hour from Salt Lake to Elko, north, and then 80 miles an hour I-15 to Vegas. The Mormons, they want to get out of Dodge and get that gambling done and see those naked girls and their jiggly boobs and then come back. Going to Evanston out of our state, no one gives a shit. It's like 30 miles an hour on the freeway. No one wants to go that direction. So if you want to come to Utah, you're going to put up with a little bit of shit. I'll be dead and if the Danites fight me any moment. But the rest of you, your younger generation, you can take over and run for office and vote. Don't let the Mormons run you out of here. They ran me out 20 years ago. They had the saying, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. Well, I didn't like it, and I saw no light at the end of the tunnel. Now I do. Now I do. I still won't put an Obama sticker on my car. They will vandalize the car. They'll key it. They'll slice the tires. They are an extremely fanatical, dangerous group of people. All of them? No, not all of them. A lot of them? Yeah, a lot of them. So, Utah's the number one in a lot of things that they are not proud of. Number 6, 7, or 8 in other things they're not very proud of. How can the Mormon Church, who was a majority here, obviously 20 or 30 years ago, a big majority, now they're right at 50-50 is the best estimate that I've got. How can they look us in the eye, which they never do, they always have glass eyes, because their other eyes are looking for the 14-year-olds. How can they look in the nation's face and say we're the only true church on the face of the earth? I know Joseph Smith was a prophet. I know that Monson is a prophet. I know the Book of Mormon is the most correct book in the world. We are a happy people. I have never heard so many lies in a row than what the Mormons put out to the public. But remember, I was inside a half a century before I resigned. I know what goes on behind closed doors. I know confidential information that should have never been passed to anyone else. And it was. I know the ostracization. It's not an ostrich. I don't know. Ostracization of the Mormon Church and the shunning of the Mormon Church. I know all that. I lived it. I'm living it today. So don't tell me how happy the Mormons are and the numbers and statistics of living in this state compared to apostate states. Believe me, folks, everyone's standards are higher than the Mormon Church. Every religion, and atheists, and Muslims, and Hindus, and Buddhists, the Mormon Church has the lowest acting standards of any group of people in the world. Maybe they're the terrorists, the Muslim terrorists, they're pretty bad people, but I don't know. It might be a close first or second. But I'm telling you from my testimony and my experience that the Mormons are not a happy people. They put on that they're happy. But as soon as you close the door, they are some of the meanest, crudest, rudest, ruthless, hateful people I've ever seen. My experience. Yours might be different. I hope it's different. I know it's not going to be.